I wasn't supposed to be at her office that day. My wife, Rachel, had forgotten her lunch and texted me, "If you're near downtown, can you drop it off?" Simple. Normal. Nothing suspicious about that. We'd been married 6 years. A quiet, stable kind of marriage. I trusted her. Completely. That trust ended the moment I opened her office door. The scene burned into my mind instantly. Rachel was laughing, not the polite laugh she gave strangers, but the one I used to hear when she was genuinely happy. Only, she wasn't laughing with me. She was sitting on her boss's lap, arms around his neck, his hand on her waist, whispering something that made her smile. When she saw me, her entire face drained of color. She froze. So did he. For a few seconds, none of us said a word. I didn't shout. I didn't ask questions. I just stared at her, then set the lunchbox on her desk. "You forgot this," I said quietly. Then I walked out. By the time I reached the parking lot, my hands were trembling. Anger wasn't even the right word. It was something colder, heavier. A mix of disbelief and clarity. I sat in my car for a long time, thinking. I could have driven home, packed my things, called a lawyer. But instead, I took a deep breath and made a different decision. I wasn't going to destroy her life in rage. I was going to let her destroy it herself, and I'd make sure everyone saw who she really was. For the next week, I said nothing. At home, Rachel acted like nothing had happened. She'd cook dinner, ask about my day, pretend her phone wasn't lighting up with texts from her boss. I watched quietly, waiting. Then, on Friday, she mentioned her company's big client presentation, the one that would decide a $2 million contract. She said, "I wish you could see how hard we've worked on it." That's when I knew exactly how I'd take my revenge. You see, Rachel's company, Henderson and Myers, handled marketing and media campaigns. I happened to be an independent consultant for their biggest competitor, Kingsley and Company. And as fate would have it, both firms were pitching for the same client that week. So I did something Rachel didn't know I was capable of. I called Kingsley's director and told him I had insider insight on what Henderson and Myers might present, because I'd seen the draft while visiting my wife. Legally, I couldn't give them documents, but I could advise them on strategy. What to emphasize, what to avoid, how to make their pitch stronger. The director agreed immediately. For the next 3 days, I worked quietly behind the scenes, making sure Kingsley's proposal outshined every possible angle Rachel's firm could take. On presentation day, I didn't go to work. Instead, I waited in the parking lot near her office. Around noon, the teams from both companies filed into the client's building. I stayed out of sight, but close enough to see Rachel walk in beside her boss, confident, polished, and completely unaware that her downfall was minutes away. 2 hours later, they came out, and even from a distance, I could see it. Her boss's face was red with frustration. Rachel's expression had collapsed. They'd lost. I watched as her boss stormed off toward his car, leaving her standing there alone, on the edge of tears. For a second, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. That evening, she came home silent. "How was your presentation?" I asked casually, flipping through a newspaper. She hesitated. "It didn't go well." "Oh." She sighed, rubbing her temples. The client said another firm presented exactly what they wanted. Almost like they'd read our minds. I nodded slowly. Strange coincidence. She gave me a long look, but I didn't flinch. Then she asked quietly, "You're not mad about what you saw, are you?" I closed the newspaper. "No, Rachel. I'm past mad." The next morning, I handed her an envelope. Inside were divorce papers. "I already signed my part," I said calmly. "You can take your time with yours." Her eyes filled with tears. "Daniel, please, it was a mistake." "No," I interrupted. "What I saw wasn't a mistake. It was a choice." She tried to reach for me, but I stepped back. "You wanted attention," I said. "You got it, from your boss, from your coworkers, from everyone who saw your firm lose the biggest deal of the year because you were too busy impressing him instead of your clients." Her face went pale. "What did you do?" I gave a faint smile. "Nothing illegal. Just balanced the scales." 2 weeks later, word spread that her boss had been fired. The company lost several clients after rumors of unprofessional behavior between senior staff circulated. Rachel tried to contact me several times after that, but I didn't respond. I'd already moved out, started fresh, and even taken a new consulting role at Kingsley, the firm that won the deal. Life has a strange sense of irony sometimes. Months later, I got one final message from her. It said, "I finally understand what I lost. Not just you, my integrity. You didn't ruin me. I did." I didn't reply. Because revenge isn't always about destruction. Sometimes it's about letting someone's own actions become the loudest truth. That day I walked in and saw her on another man's lap. I thought I'd lost everything. But in the end, I realized I'd only lost someone who was never really mine.